Alright, so we're going to pick up where we left off in the last video. If you haven't seen that one, head on over to Playing with HTML CSS 1. If you'd like to follow along, go to the last video, click the link on Playing with HTML CSS 1, and then in the top right corner here we can click Fork, and it will create a duplicate of that pen in your own profile, and you can follow along from where we left off. So here I've just renamed it Playing with HTML/CSS2. You'll be able to find that in a link in the description that will be completed by the end of this video. So we have body tags, H1 tags, P tags, and anchor tags, the A tag here, and that contains Google. We've styled it a little bit, still looks pretty ugly, but let's work on that a little bit. We're going to create what's called a div tag here, and that is like a container tag that can hold other tags, other elements on the website. It can also be a divider or a grouper. It has a lot of different functions and can be styled really to do a lot of different things. Very versatile. You'll see a lot of divs. So we're just going to indent that P tag here, as the convention is. When something exists inside of something else, we always tab it in. Now, as you can guess, we can style the div tag here. We can say color red. Now you'll notice that nothing inside of this P tag turned red. That's because we've already specified here that the color would be gray for the P tag. If we comment that out, which we can do by holding Command or Control if you're on a Windows, press Command or Control /, and that will comment that out here with the comment syntax. And then we notice that this turns red here. We can uncomment this by the same keys. I'll do Command / here on the Mac. And again, it goes gray. Okay, so let's, instead of color, let's do a background color. And we'll do this sort of off-white here. It's really close to white, but it's a little easier on the eyes. F-E, F-E, F-E. Okay, so notice that this goes almost all the way across the screen here. It doesn't look very pretty. But we have a few other tricks up our sleeve to make this look a little bit better. We have a, we have a width tool. So let's do width 100 pixels. Okay, see now we've cramped in this P tag here to be within our 100 pixel width that we set our div to. I can double that to have more pixels, which increases the width. And let's double that again, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now we can say, text-align, text-align, colon, and we'll say center. So now our text is center aligned inside of that div. Looks a little bit better now that things are looking even. But let's do the same thing here to our H1, text align center. There we go, right in the middle. But you'll notice that the div having text align center doesn't bring the whole div to the center. It only puts the text inside of the div in the center of it. So let's try something with our margins. Margins control how much space is on each side of the element that we have, regardless of anything surrounding it. It'll push everything away and give itself space. There's a little trick to center your element inside of anything else. When we say margin, we can say 0, auto. And that puts it straight here in the middle. This 0 is telling us that we want no extra space on the top and bottom. And the auto on this next part here just means that we have an automatic amount of margin on both sides, which will center it in this case. Now, this is looking okay, but I think we're missing something else. Besides margins, every element also has padding. Padding will allow our div to have a little bit of extra space inside of it, allowing room for the P tag, that paragraph tag, to breathe a little bit. So let's say 10 pixels, And there we go. On every side here, we have an extra 10 pixels. Seems a little much. So we can also say padding 10 pixels. If I add another value here, then 10 pixels will represent the top and bottom. And then we can do 5 pixels for the left and the right. Still seems a bit much. We'll just add an extra 2. Now we already have the width here set, so it's difficult to say how much padding we need on this. But look, we're looking better already. Let's add one more property we'll teach you here today. And this is going to be called border. So with border, we can say 1 pixel. That's going to be how thick our border is. Solid. And then we'll say black. Now we have a nice black 1 pixel solid border. We could also say, instead of solid, we could say dashed. That looks really nice, like a coupon book. And we'll change this to 5 pixels. Oh yeah. And we'll give this a little bit of a gray. Okay, we'll make this solid again. And then one more trick up our sleeves. We will give ourselves a border radius. That's going to make our corners of our div more rounded. It'll look really slick, I promise. Let's give it 3 pixels of a border radius. And we will drop the border actually here. So it's just border radius. Let's say 5 pixels, just so we can see it a little more. Now it's subtle, but you can see all of these borders have now gotten just a little bit rounded here. It's already looking pretty good compared to what we had at the beginning here. So remember our div tag, background colors, border radius, margin, padding, text align, and width. These are all some of the basic properties that we can apply to any of our elements here in our HTML. All right, that's it for playing around with HTML and CSS 2. Head over to playing around with HTML CSS 3 to learn a little bit more about more HTML tags and more in-depth CSS. We're going to learn a little bit about how we can interact with the website more than just this little static 90s website. Feel free to leave a comment if you have questions or ideas about the next video you'd like to see, and I'll respond to you as fast as possible. Like, subscribe so you can see the rest of these videos, and I'll see you next time.